Hi, my name is Emily Godowicki. I just want to start off by thanking you for taking time out of your day to listen to my story of my journey of living with a neurological condition called epilepsy. So I'm going to start off by taking you guys back to the year 2011. I was a normal teenager. I had just gotten my learner's permit. I just started my first job at Dairy Queen. I was in band, I was in marching band, I hung out with my friends, so typical teenage stuff. Shortly after I turned 15, I started getting these weird headaches that later I found out to be a type of migraine called an ice pick headache. It's where, for me at least, the right side of my brain would just feel like I was getting continuously pierced with a sharp object. And after a few months of just taking Motrin and ibuprofen, it became less and less effective. My mom being a nurse, we're the type of family that if you're not bleeding or you're dying or you're not dying, go take some Motrin, you're fine. We never thought it would turn into something more or as big as epilepsy. So fast forward to December 12th, 2011, I had just gotten home from work and I was getting food out of the microwave. I turned around and I remember catching a glance of the laundry room. So that's about halfway through my turn. The next thing I knew, I was 20 feet away on the floor with a paramedic just right smack dab in my face. So that was kind of weird, just regaining consciousness to a random man in my face. I don't remember much from that night other than my dad saying we were going to wait for my mom and then we were going to go to the hospital. But what I do remember is the realization at how much my brother loved me and how strong our sibling bond was and just how it's just grown from it continuously being 9 years later. He had turned 13 a month prior and was just thrown into calling 911. My dad actually had to correct him when he told them I was having a heart attack. And while I was sitting on the couch just trying to process what had just happened, my sweet, sweet brother came up to me and he looked at me and he just burst into tears. And he said he was so scared and I was kind of confused. But he wasn't scared because he had just seen his sister flailing around on the floor, because that's scary for everyone. But he was afraid that he was going to lose me. And in that moment, I knew whatever the outcomes were, I was going to overcome it and fight it for my brother because I wanted to make sure that he was never going to be scared of me again, scared of losing me like that. And so life is hard enough being a teenager, but over the next year was more challenging than I could have ever imagined. I went through about 3 rounds of medication changes for me to find one that worked. The first one made me way too groggy to where I was falling asleep at school. The other one, I had broken out in an allergic reaction called Stevens-Johnson syndrome. So you should go look it up. It's kind of strange. And after that incident, I found a medication regimen that worked for me for the next 2.5 years. And during that time, I was angrier than a normal teenager. I was angry at the world. I was angry at God, myself, just everything. And it didn't help that my new medication had a side effect called extreme anger or rage. So that was something new to deal with that I wasn't dealing with and handling the best. It wasn't until my sophomore year of college when I had my first seizure as an adult and I had finally come to terms with the fact that I had a chronic disease and it was not going to go away. So after that, it was another increase in medication and additional 6 months without driving, which is just typical if you have any sort of blackout unless specified by your doctor. After that, I was lucky enough to go a full 3 years seizure-free, and again, I thought I was in the clear. So taking you to February 15th, 2019, I was driving home after babysitting my cousin's child, and after working, I think, my 3rd week of overtime at my work. The last thing I remember was being in the right lane, northbound 131 in Grand Rapids. I remember seeing the exit sign, Franklin Street, 1/4 mile, because that's where I needed to get off, so I was where I needed to be. The next thing I knew, there were people my age at my car door, just knocking on my door, trying to get me out, asking if I was okay. And the next thing I was just, I asked, what's wrong? And they go, we saw your car swerve into the median. All of a sudden, we wanted to make sure you were okay, and we found you seizing. And I just collapsed out of sheer embarrassment and shock into some stranger's arms who just held me just while I regained my strength. And so after that, it was another realization that this is something I have to live with, and I do have to start taking much better care of myself. So after that, it was another increase in medications, which is the typical go-to. And it's a very funny thing because seizures are predictable in nature, where they start and how they look, but finding the right medication, therapy, and treatments is all trial and error. I had another seizure about 3 months later, so after that, instead of increasing medications, we added CBD oil to my medication regimen. And then 5 months later, this is now October 2019, I had another seizure. And the night prior was the last time that I had been very drunk to where, I had pushed my limits just a little bit, but nothing too bad. So we attributed that one to just the alcohol leaving my system and lowering my threshold. So lowering what it takes for me to have a seizure. And after I kind of kicked that all to the curb, I've been doing great. So I was able to start driving again on April 28th, 2020. So I gained my independence and freedom back when everyone else thought they were losing theirs. So of course, the lockdown did not affect the way that I had lived my life. I was lucky enough to work for a daycare company with the most amazing people. I was able to secure a ride from my co-teacher at the daycare, and my boss was gracious enough to have our ins and out times around the same time so I could continue to work without needing to rely on Ubers and Lyfts because those can get kind of expensive after a while. And I'm not going to say the company allowed me to continue working through the difficult time that I was going through, but they extended a great amount of support that it just meant the world to me. And it was the smallest of things as readjusting my schedule. And of course, I could not have gotten through that year without the support of my family and friends. I was lucky enough to escape a car crash without a scratch on me, and I was lucky enough to be working for a company that had the willingness to work with their employees. Now I have been with MyHin since this past August 2020, and I am just continuously amazed by the support provided to both the staff and the interns. November was Epilepsy Awareness Month. For me, every month is Epilepsy Awareness Month because I will never stop discussing my story and talking about my journey. Epilepsy is not all of me, it's only a part of me. It is a part of me that has made me headstrong, an advocate, and giving me the ability to face things and difficult situations head on. Thank you for taking your time to listen to my story and my journey with a disease that affects more individuals than you may think. We are here and we can thrive in the world thanks to companies like Dairy Queen, Bright Horizons Family Solutions, and MyHin that offer endless support to their staff who face adversities such as this. And we can't forget the support from friends and family. Thank you.